Welcome to a storybook read aloud by Language Liftoff. We are reading The Diversity Cube and the Cloud Wizard. It's written and illustrated by Hazem Nassar. Let's begin. Long ago, in a land far, far away, there lived a group of squares. The squares were all different colors. They all had different names and spoke different languages. And yet, they lived together in peace. The squares were a curious group. They wanted to learn more about their neighbors. And so it was that they often moved around, eager to get to know one another. Among these squares were a group of best friends. They called themselves the Bestest Six. That's Kadar, Clem, Shiro, Yogi, Azura, and Lolly. Although all of different colors, their curiosity made them alike. These six read more than any other squares and wanted to know about their land's history. The more they read, the more they appreciated their diversity. The Bestest Six decided to hold an annual festival to celebrate diversity, and they invited the other squares to join them. The festival began with the blowing of a whistle. At the sound, the squares started moving around to meet their friends of different colors. With each stop, they learned new things about each other. All day this went on until at last the whistle was blown again. In one voice, the squares shouted, "We are the Diversity Cube." One night, as they were getting ready for the festival, Clem's neighbor Orang started whispering to him. "Hey, Clem." "Yes, Orang?" "Do we have to do this festival thing? I never understood the point of it. Why do we have to mingle with other colors? They look and sound funny. They're too loud. And besides, we're much smarter than they are." Clem was confused and concerned. "That's not nice, Orang. You wouldn't want anyone to talk like that about you." "My friends and I read that there used to be other cubes like ours," Clem continued, "but their colors remained separate. Then they mysteriously disappeared. The festival is to remind us of our unity despite our differences." "Maybe they ended up moving to a better place where the colors don't have to mingle with each other," Orang grumbled. "You'll see, mixing is no good, and I'm sure many oranges will agree with me." But what Orang didn't know was that someone far away was listening to him, an evil wizard named Druff, who was bent on destroying all the diversity cubes. "Looks like we found the one you're looking for, Master," the wizard's crystal ball said. "Indeed, my dear Tentacle," Druff said, sly smile crossing his face. "Indeed we have." Druff wasted no time. Mixing together his evil potions, he soon made a covering of clouds. But one ingredient was missing, one that he could never give to his potions on his own. "No matter how powerful my sorcery is, I always need someone's willingness to help spread my poison," Druff said. "Orang shall be our target." Here are the potions Hate, Ignorance, Fear. Soon, the final diverse cube shall be added to my collection, and that colorful world will disappear forever. Druff gathered the fumes of his evil potions and fed them to Tentacle. As the crystal ball pushed the clouds towards the diversity cube to work their magic, Druff cast his favorite spell, Racism. The next day, the festival started as usual, but when the whistle sounded, Orang refused to move. With Orang staying still, the other squares found it hard to move around. They ended up staying near their own color. Nobody knew what was going on, Seeing the colors keeping themselves away from the other colors, the squares assumed that the others were not interested in meeting them. The festival ended before it even started. There was no moving, no mingling, and no shouting. Instead, the colors started talking about how others kept themselves away. Some said they didn't even care to be near other colors who weren't as smart as they were, or who looked, acted, and sounded different. The bestest six could hardly believe their ears. They did not agree what was being said, but what could they do? On the orange side of the cube, Orang repeated his claims that the other squares were not worth speaking to. As he spoke, Druff's cloud appeared over the cube. Suddenly, the other orange squares began to agree with Orang. The cloud swirled over the cube. It rained drops of evil over the oranges and formed walls around the squares. And then the cube froze. Some squares tried moving again, but couldn't. Now they were more convinced than ever that it was the other squares' doing. They did not want to meet and were keeping the cube from moving. Each group started claiming that their color was superior. They even started calling each other names. Redsies, no, don't say that. Bluesos, Whiteos, stop. The cloud started raining again, but this time over the whole cube, forming walls similar to the ones around the orange squares. Only the bestest six were able to keep the evil emotions from getting to them. We have the other squares calling each other names. My stomach is turning, Master Druff, Tentacle complained. These six are annoying with their friendship and tolerance. How much longer before we bring them over here? Patience, Tentacle. They will soon forget about their friendship and follow the others, Druff answered. But Druff had misspoken. Hearing the words friendship and tolerance woke something up inside the squares of his imprisoned cubes. They were words that they have not heard since they were separated. They too had fallen prey to Druff's poisons. They had lost tolerance with each other and lost their unity. Now they were stirring. On the diversity cube, Yolki, Kadar, and Clem managed to sneak closer to each other. Clem told them about Orang's talk the other night. It seems like there's someone on each side who felt the same way, Kadar said. We need to get the colors talking to each other, Yolki said. We need to remind them what they like about each other. Together, the three came up with a plan. Each one of them needed to talk their color into communicating with other colors. When Clem moved back to speak to the oranges, Kadar snuck closer to Shiro to share the plan. Shiro in turn moved about to tell Azura and Lolly. The bestest six got right to work. We all have the same shape and are made of the same material. The difference is our color is what makes this cube a complete one. Think of how boring it would be not to experience new things. Think of all the things you're missing out on. Look at us when the cube is shuffled. It's much harder to separate us. Our strength is in our unity. So young yet so wise, they reached minds and hearts with their words. They could not let racism ruin their diversity cube. Orang showed us that one cube matters. When he stopped moving, we froze. But any of us could do that. We are all equally important and we have to work together. All over the cube, you'll find squares that share similar interests. Different colors, but with similar ideas. Some squares sing really well. Some have the best jokes. Some tell the best stories. They all learn from each other, and we're lucky to see the different styles of their skills. Tentacle reached into the restroom where Druff liked to think and plan, startling him with urgent news. Master Druff, he called out. What? You've got to see this quick, the crystal ball yelled. Can't you see me resting? Oh no, Druff started panicking. Here's what all the squares are saying. I apologize. Lolly is absolutely correct. I shouldn't have acted like that. You're right, Kadar. I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry, everyone. They are communicating, Druff exclaimed. Ooh, it stinks in here. Before Druff's eyes, the cloud changed in color. Fumes of understanding, empathy, kindness, friendship, and unity replaced Druff's evil fumes, forming a stronger cloud, the diversity cloud. The diversity cloud started raining over the cube, washing away the walls between the colors. The squares could move again. Tentacle tried to suck the diversity cube carried by the racism cloud into Druff's world, but instead, the more powerful diversity cloud came out. Help me, said Tentacle. Clouds, borders, smells, and shut up and let me focus, Druff exclaimed. Druff desperately chased Tentacle away, but it was too late. More diversity clouds formed, dissolving the walls around the imprisoned cubes and setting them free. No! Driven by immense joy and navigated by fond memories, the long-lost cubes rode the diversity clouds back to their land. Seeing them approaching, the diversity cube roared in celebration. Huh? Is someone blowing the festival's whistle? Shiro said suddenly. Clem looked around. Look, it's Orang. The bestest six smiled as, louder than ever, the squares all shouted, "We are the diversity cubes." The end. Thank you for reading with me today, children. We'll read again next time. Goodbye.